Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening if you're coming from the other side of the world. Thanks so much for joining us today for this Coffee with Kusini webinar. If you haven't joined one of our Coffee with Kusinis, this is about a 30-minute presentation focused really on one topic, one subject. And today we're excited to welcome Tyrone McKeith, one of the owners of Classic Zambia, as he's going to present on their brand new camp that is nearing completion in the Kafue National Park, Lwenge River Camp. We've represented Classic Zambia now for 4 years. Can you believe it, Ty? And year after year, they've just grown from strength to strength. And it's exciting to see the progress that's come as this owner-operated safari company in Zambia has continued to grow and develop. And this is the latest incarnation of their portfolio, adding actually a third camp in Kafue, a second camp in the Musekese area, which Tyrone will take us through. We always record these presentations, so if you have to leave early, you want to share it, you'll find it on our YouTube channel in the Coffee with Kusini playlist. And if you have questions, just throw them into the chat. And between Vanessa and Gretchen and myself, we're the three Kusiniers. We will be monitoring those questions and we'll get them answered probably at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to throw it over to you, Ty, to introduce Lwenge River Camp and Classic Zambia.
Sorry, wrong button. Hi guys, thanks Ted. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate everyone's time. Some of you hopefully know who we are, who I am, who Classic Zambia Safaris is. So what I'll do is of course focus on our new camp in the Kafue Lwenge River Camp. But the next two or three slides will just give you, for those who don't know us so well, a bit of a background into us, our camps, our kind of ethos, what we're about. And that will start with a rather lazy but a good way to see the kind of style of camps, locations that we are in with a video. It's just a 2 minute long video now to start with, and from then you'll be hearing my voice a little bit more from then on, and I'll give a bit more context. But enjoy this little video for now, and then we'll go on from there.
Is it getting dust on your boots? And grass seeds on your hat? Or is it slowing down long enough to notice how the breeze gently ruffles the river grass? Or how peaceful it is on the water in the quiet, still dawn? At Classic Zambia, we know what our authentic is. It's a proud blend of guiding that goes the extra mile, personalized service, and quintessential attention to detail. And all of this within some of the very best locations in Zambia's remote wilderness areas. From the secluded serenity of Chula Island to the whispering plains of Ntemwabusanga, to Musekese's reverential lagoon, and to the peaceful embrace of Kutali's winterthorn forests. We are as proud of our hand-picked locations as we are of the animals and the people that call them home.
Okay, so that hopefully gives you a bit of a vibe. There's two of our camps who are not in that video, of course, and there are the one I'm talking about today, and the other one is our other new camp, which opened end of last year, and this being the first full year up in North Lwanga, Kutundala. So we'll have to add these two into that video moving forward. Okay, so we are Classic Zambia Safaris. We're an owner-run safari company, proudly, founded by myself and my three friends. And the four of us are guides, conservationists. We are wildlife people first and foremost. Growing up in Zambia, all of us, we always hoped and dreamed we'd be able to do what we're doing today. And ultimately, we are here today with six seasonal bush camps, which are now across the Luangwa Valley in the northern North Luangwa. Two in the lower Zambezi, Kutali and Chula, and of course camps in the Kafue now. And Temwa Busanga on the Busanga Plains, Musekese, and now Lwenge River Camp. Every camp of ours has been designed and developed by us, you know. These are areas that have never had camps on them before. We are not a development or investment company. We are just four blokes that knew, yeah, really cool areas and in very productive parts of the national parks in which we operate. And that's where our camps have been developed from. We have a very strong focus on guiding and a very authentic wilderness sort of experience. And that's a big part of what we're about, not just the kind of luxe element of the camp itself, but about the experience outside of the rooms, outside of the camps themselves as well. Yeah, ultimately, we're committed to really meaningful connections with nature, and conservation is a big thing for us. If I have time, I'll yeah, dwell on that a little bit, but that's a very important aspect of what we're about as people and as a company. Um, so, in a nutshell, our camps, they're small. They host no more than sort of 12 guests in total. Six rooms typically in our camps, so that's where you get the 12 from if two folk are sharing. Very much a wildlife first philosophy, open plan camps, an uncrowded safari experience. This is true throughout all of our camps. So, of course, the Lower Zambezi slightly better visited than the other areas we operate in, but even then, with places like Chula and Kutali, uh, and topped by the fact that our guiding is something we really hang our hat on. The experiences are still very personal, exclusive. And yes, ultimately, authentic wilderness over unnecessary luxury is something we always think about, even in the developing of new camps such as Lwenge. But our camps are seasonal. All of them are varying season lengths, but typically kind of April, May through to November, December in the Kafue. It's certainly for Lwenge. Um, but with that comes opportunity. Some people see that as a draw, a negative side to selling bush camps in Zambia, but in honesty, that's what you should be looking for. The more seasonal, the better, because they're more remote and more special if we're bothering to do all this for a few months a year. Yeah, so ultimately ourselves as Classic Zambia, we've have a very strong logistical expertise as well as owning these camps. We have our own aircraft and we spend a lot of time in curating trips to make your lives easier across the country, not just with our own camps, but the fact we have our camps in different parts and the three major parks in Zambia means that by definition, logistics is a big thing that we support you guys with as well. Here's a map. We will always like to see a map. So here is one of the country with the name of our camps dotted around. And as you can see, the parks in that sort of darker brown color there. So Lusaka being the main access point for the majority of folk, of course, Livingston may well be, or the Vic Falls area as well, but these are our two hubs. And the Kafue, which is what we're focusing on today, is this huge tract of land in the western part of the country. as I said before, Lwenge opens in 10 days' time. If anyone has known us from the Kafue, they have known Musekese, which is actually the first camp that we founded 14 years ago. And then 10 years ago, we built our camp on the Busanga Plains called Intemwa, which has had several iterations. And the last one, sort of 2 years ago, we rebuilt the camp there. So that's the two older camps in the Kafue of ours. And then, yeah, the new one is Lwenge. Our camps in the lower Zam down here, Chulo and Kutali, and of course up in North Luangwa, Kutundala. So as we come on to this, it's just a little, yeah, it's pretty much what I've said there. It's the name of the camps. Lwenge down here shows that it is brand new for this year. There's a few bullet points there, and I'll explain what those mean in the next couple of slides. I zoom in a little bit more to the Kafue. So our camps are in the northern part of the Kafue, and please understand that the Kafue is massive. It is 22,500 square kilometers of national park, unfenced. And so scale is important in this park. It might look that our camps are relatively close to each other. That is not the case. The Musekese and Lwenge are indeed, because they're in the very productive and dear to us Musekese area of the park. But this whole part of the park in which Lwenge sits itself is in an area the size of the Masai Mara Reserve, and it's only our two little camps within that whole area. So very exclusive. And in terms of the other locations in Kafue, you see our camp on Busanga, and the Busanga Plains is about a 3 hour game drive away. It's 60 kilometers away from the Musekese area. The combination of a Musekese or Lwenge with Busanga is a fantastic way to see the very best of the Kafue National Park. Very complementary, but very different habitats available there. Both of these areas have got access through airstrips, Lufupa and Busanga, which makes piecing together these areas, these camps with Livingston, for which we have seat rate flights direct to and from, very easy. Lusaka as well, seat rates, and a really nice one is the ability to fly between the Lower Zambezi and the Kafue, again on seat rate flights. So that's some of the logistics there. And that's another map, but it's my last one for now. It's the same thing you've just seen, just zoomed in a little bit more with some of the network of roads. So you can see Musekese here in this, we call this the thumb of land on the eastern side of the river. The Lufupa airstrip you just seen before, the slide before, is on the other side of the river. So folk fly into Lufupa, and we actually boat them into camps. Either Musekese, we boat them down and drive in because Musekese is on a lagoon. But for Lwenge, we will boat round the other side of this pedicle of land, now heading east, and we boat right into Lwenge. It's a beautiful way to arrive. It's a 25-minute max boat journey from the airstrip to camp. And then you have access to this network of game drive loops. Again, only us in this area. And as the crow flies, Musekese to Lwenge is about 8 kilometers. But there's a whole network of loops to the east of Lwenge, which for those who've stayed at Musekese or know anything about that, guests that stay at Musekese never really get as far as Lwenge typically, and certainly not as far as the Kamasot Plain. We have a hide in the area too, and I'll come on to show you how exciting that is. So the point is that Lwenge offers something familiar and access to the very productive Musekese area in terms of this particularly leopard viewing, but also offers something different with access further east and right on the banks of the river. And I'll show you now visually how that looks for Lwenge. So yeah, what's the experience going to be like? What's it different? As I said, it's Lwenge is only one of only two camps in a Masai Mara-sized wilderness, the other one being our very own Camp Musekese. But it is a riverfront location rather than lagoon-based, so right on the banks of the river. It's aimed to be, and it is and will be a flexible, family-friendly camp, right? It's designed for exclusive use bookings, but it isn't solely for exclusive use bookings. And again, I'll touch on what that means specifically. But the fact that we don't have a minimum age requirement at this camp, the fact that we do have a small swimming pool, it might come across as relatively grandiose or slightly different to what we've done before, but it is still very much a classic bush camp in keeping with what we're all about. But just giving that option where we have never had it before. Um, so yeah, but all the activities that we have on offer in this area are still very much available from Lwenge. And that mixture of the river activities, boating, fishing, walking, something we're very proud of as a company, and very productive game drives. That variety is really nice and really key, especially if you have got families or you're a photographic interested group, the ability to get on the river. You see this image on the left here, the reflections on the Kafue River are second to none. It's a very different river to the Luangwa or the Zambezi, those sand rivers. Here it's kind of almost Congolese, almost Central African, kind of landscapes along the riverbanks. So yeah, and this is an untouched wilderness. And across the river from Lwenge is an area that there are zero camps in, a vast tract of land that has been set aside for walking only, and no one walks it other than us. So this is really one of the last proper true bastions of remote wilderness exploration. But now with a very approachable camp and easy access. So the hide is also something that's new, very exciting. Another aspect to keep folk busy at this camp. Exceptional birding in this part of the Kafue. Pell's fishing owl, African finfoot are daily occurrences, which is quite crazy to say. But yeah, really fantastic birding. The photographic opportunities here are really good as well, especially when you combine it to a Luangwa combine this area with a Luangwa or combine this area with a Lower Zambezi. It makes for a really productive safari. Right, now the camp itself will have 6 guest rooms from 2027. We're opening in 10 days' time, as I said. We have a guides room or guides tent, not quite the same as the guest room standard, but still very nice, separate, private, flushing loos, power, etc. But yeah, the pool, you can see a little thumbnail of that in the bottom right-hand corner. That's what it will look like. I'll show you what it looks like right now. It's very close to looking like that. But yeah, no minimum age limit. Wi-Fi is available in both the rooms and the main area, which is different to all of our other camps. So it's small things that are just slightly tweaked to maybe be more appealing to a more general market than we've ever had before. Charging in all the rooms, so not just central main area charging. There are fans in the rooms. The rooms are always very well lit. Seems like an obvious thing to say, but these are bush camps, so and a lot of older folk or younger folk having good lighting makes a big difference. But the bathrooms are within the rooms, running water basins, flushing loos, on demand, hot and cold water showers, not bucket showers, which for those of you know us from our Lower Zambezi camps, that is more of a bucket shower type destination. So small things that don't detract from what we're about, but just differentiate. But yeah, the activities I've been through in a nutshell, the game drives, walking, boating. We have a pontoon boat as well, which are great for lunches. Something we do at Musekese, which will also be available at Lwenge. The Kamasot hide is fantastic. And the conservation experience is something that has typically only happened or been available out of Musekese, is still available and will be available out of Lwenge. And I've got a slide on what that physically means. Right, some pictures, right? So this is the main area from the river. You see it's right on the banks of the river, nestled into the lovely riparian woodland. These are ebony trees and waterberry trees that line the banks of the Kafue here. This is the main area from the river. And as I zoom in now, this is it as of yesterday, starting to clear up. This is from the land side, of course, approaching from the main area from the bush. We are very openly admire and have always admired the main areas of places like Old Mondoro. Had that very sail-like open plan, high roof structure, and something we replicated, but in a thatched classic design. Our camp that we redesigned on the Busanga Plains in Temwa 2 years ago, we rebuilt it as a thatched structures, and how cool and airy and light and in sort of in keeping with the surroundings that we found that to be, we stuck with for this camp. So our other camps are tented. Lwenge is more of a thatched design, but very light, airy, roomy, shady, and yes, very well appointed, overlooking the river directly. So this is with a help from an interior design sort of app, but this is what that main area will look like when finished, or sorry, when furnished. Yeah, so that's the kind of style of the main area. This is the swimming pool area as of yesterday. So a lot of work to do in the last 10 days. It'll be decked around it, as you saw from the thumbnail earlier. And the pool is a steel pool. Again, quite light-footed. It's not, we don't like lots of cement and things like that. That's not really what we're about. So yeah, a lot of steel and things that we can pick up and move off if we need be. But what this is what it will give you and your guests. So not over the top, more of a plunge pool, but great again for adults and kids alike, just to cool off in the hot part of the day or unwind overlooking the Kafue River itself. The rooms thatched again. You'll see amongst the chaps busy finishing up the interior. We have the on-demand geysers for the hot water, but they are right on the banks of the river, basically on stilts, as it were. And yeah, here is one of the finished rooms with a lovely access through the rear, nice and shady, as you can see there, leading on to a deck, which gives you this fantastic. This is, I think, room 3. This is an island in front of camp. It's one of only 3 islands in this part of the Kafue River. It is actually one of the few nesting colonies for skimmers as well. So, and one of the major crossing points of elephant in this part of the Kafue. So, yeah, we really thought about this site. This was a site that Phil and I knew of for years, and the original Musekese was just next door to this. So we're very proud and lucky to be able to once again call this area our home again at Lwenge. For those of you who don't know, Lwenge is actually the traditional name for the Kafue River at this part of this tranche of the Kafue. The traditional name for the Kafue isn't the Kafue, it is Lwenge. So that's where we got the name from. Activities, though, in this very productive area, yeah, the boating, especially in the hot months, is fantastic. Great for especially cat viewing, believe it or not. My opening slide of that lovely leopard under our logo. That is, very often September, October in the hot months, we're seeing those leopards coming down to the riverbanks on our boat activities. So don't just think a boating activity out of Lwenge or Musekese is maybe only for a gin and tonic on your last day. Very much a game viewing activity. Have your cameras with you, and especially if you've been on a longer itinerary in Zambia, mainly vehicle based. So that's, like South Luangwa, whereas you're mainly in a vehicle, right? You're not in the river or on the river, and that's again why this part of Kafue works really well. That variety of activity. Walking still something we really enjoy doing. Some really good walking. We've got some of the best guides in the country. We're very lucky to have that and be something that we're very keen on, is that quality of guiding and keen on portraying ourselves to be. And remember, this is proper wilderness. You can walk for hours and not, well, you certainly won't see another soul, but you very likely won't see a track or a road or anything. But the game drives too, I think people sometimes might wonder what the game viewing out of a vehicle is like for you photographers. I like to put this slide in of this leopard on its back, 20 yards from the vehicle, particularly the leopard, with the history of anti-poaching and conservation and the lack of pressure from other camps in this part of the Kafue has led to this very productive landscape where the animals are very relaxed. They have been habituated for years by Phil, myself, and our team of guides. And the net result is a wildlife experience that's very comparable to any other areas that are better named. And just because you may not have heard of the Kafue or may not have heard of Lwenge does not mean that it isn't certainly worth going to. And actually, I see it as an opportunity to find something special for your guests if they're looking for something a bit different. Um, yeah, so aside to the experiences, yeah, of course the game drives. Here's Yvonne. Yvonne is our first, and I say by our, I mean the Kafue National Park's first female guide. We're very proud of Yvonne. She's been mentored by ourselves and to now today. She qualified for her full driving guiding last year and will be a face that you very likely will come across at our camps in the Kafue. The conservation work that we do is a part of the experience as well. I think my next slide touches on that, hence this camera trap image here, something that guests are able to get involved with in a stay at Lwenge. And I touched earlier just now on the ability to head on our pontoon boat for a lunch on the river. And this is that pontoon boat, and this is folks heading out for a private lunch, something we try and get our guests to do if the logistics of their itinerary uh, allows that. That's a nice way to extend the day from a game viewing perspective, whilst enjoying some of our lovely food, cold glass of wine at lunchtime. So the conservation work, yeah, Tad and the Cassini guys know I could talk for hours on what this means to us. Aside to Musekese Conservation, which is a non-profit that works in the Kafue landscape that was founded by myself and Phil, something that we put a lot of money and time and effort still into. From the guest experience perspective, what that means is that we have what we call a conservation activity. So in the same way you might want to go on a game drive tomorrow or a boat cruise or a walk, you're also able to choose, if the research teams are in the camp, to head to Musekese Conservation's base camp, which is about 10, 15 kilometers south of Lwenge. And it's an interactive morning. You take a morning drive or boat down to the base camp and meet the research teams and learn about something that most folk aren't aware is even happening in the landscape. And since basically 2018, 2019, we've been studying in depth the recovery of wildlife off the back of the anti-poaching work we have been doing in the area since 2017. And guests are able to get to understand what that means, see maps of wildlife movements. We have ID booklets for each known leopard, wild dog, lion, cheetah in the landscape. And you guests have these while in the rooms, in the camps, but also your guides have these with them too. And so for us, it's very much, it brings the whole landscape, the history of the area into the guest experience. And it's a wonderful morning to do if people are interested in more than just sort of, just the safari aspect of it. We also now offer what we call a conservation day experience, which is for a supplementary donation. It ensures your booking, your guests, whoever it might be, a full day with these teams. You get to go and join on camera trapping, telemetry, radio telemetry. Some of the predators in the areas, for example, have radio collars, transects, spore transects, and basically just join the teams for a day, have them join you for lunches and dinners, and get a really in-depth look at what conservation actually means in the landscape and what it means to the Musekese Lwenge area as well. So this is a really unique opportunity, and something that a lot of guests might not really think about or might not think they'll do if they have time, but when they do without fail, it is a core highlight from their safari in this area. Um, the hide, the hide is really, really great. I'm always conscious because there's lots of places in Africa with hides these days. This is the first ever hide in the Kafue. It took us years to explain to the Department of Parks what we were trying to achieve with this, but we finally got permission. That's the reason it's the first and currently the only hide in the Kafue. But we were very keen to have this hide because it is in an area away from the main river, an area where you're more likely to see the rarer species at close proximity. Things like rowan and sable, hartebeest, bush pigs. We've had some amazing sightings from this hide. You'll notice we don't call it a photographic hide, although clearly from this image it is great for photographers, because I think that's too reductive. It is very much an enjoyable thing to experience just for nature lovers as well. And again, we're talking about Lwenge here. If you've got families or special interest groups, the hide has got a loo, it's got Wi-Fi, it's a very comfortable place, as you can see here, nice comfy chairs, plenty of space to put your bags behind or sit behind in the shade if the sun peeking through. We really thought about this hide, and it is a great value add to a booking at Lwenge or Musekese. And currently, we don't charge extra for this activity. I know a lot of places in East Africa, if you want to spend time in the hide, you pay a little bit extra for that. Right now, that's not something we have on the agenda. So it's just another string to the bow of this offering. Yeah, here's literally from my phone the other day. I was down there for a few hours with guests. Beautiful elephant sighting, like stunning, like and this bull, young bull was only a few meters away. And then this stunning sable bull came through as well. Um, just in an hour or two, as well as other stuff, just using my iPhone. It's such an amazing experience. And if you are a photographer, the ability to capture these kind of images, even for your birders as well, is really special and very unique. Eye level with sable. Yeah, it's not a typical shot. Yeah, so yeah, and we do see increasingly the predators from the hide as well, especially this leopard. There's a few leopard in the area. The wild dog, we have a pack of wild dog that are denning not too far from the hide, and they've been coming through most mornings if they've been hunting in the area as well. So really great place to park off for a few hours. And then I think because I'm pretty much there now, just some idea of how we sell Lwenge and what sort of options we have. As I say, we're just opening in 10 days' time, but we've got a few more months of the season left. If you've got guests that might be interested in this cool new camp, um, then we have a stay three, pay two. That's a fantastic thing just off the shelf for now. For next year, most people are booking, of course, ahead now. Stay four, pay three. And then we have this cool thing where if you've got a group of six packs or more, we will guarantee exclusive use of the camp. So we won't take any more bookings over those dates for your group if you have that. And that's nice. I did touch on earlier that it was an exclusive use camp. As I say, it's designed for that. It's the idea is that we can fully curate an experience out of that camp for exclusive use bookings, be it families or special interest groups, yoga groups, photographic groups. But why it isn't only an exclusive use camp is because we have a little kind of terms and condition that we do accept FIT couples, singles, whatever it might be, at Lwenge, only if there isn't already space on the same dates at Musekese. So because Musekese is in the same kind of landscape, offering similar experiences, and aimed at FITs, not for groups, yeah, we that's the kind of terms and condition of that. If you're one or two and you want to enjoy this area, we'll aim you at Musekese. If Musekese is full on those dates, then we will open up Lwenge to FIT guests, and over that period, that will be an FIT bookable period for folk at Lwenge. But then outside of that, we're still aiming for group bookings, just as a preference for ours. And then, yeah, so that's 2027. And then for 2027, we have this cool um, package, for want of a better word, a word that we call the Northern Explorer. And that's 8 nights between Musekese or Lwenge and the Busanga Plains. That includes all the flights as well, right? This is rack as well, low and high season, but it includes all the logistics from the moment you land in Lusaka to fly back to Lusaka. And you can, of course, then add on or add this on to your Luangwa or Lozam or as a standalone Kafue only 8 nights. And of course, you can add nightly rates on here, there, and everywhere. But this helps take out the logistical headache or the perception of the logistical headache from selling the Kafue. Um, and that is about it. So thank you for listening. I think that was about 30 minutes. Yeah.
Well done, Ty. Yeah, just about 30 minutes. We even started a little bit late. So,
Okay.
mm, that picture of room three, well, as Gretchen said on our WhatsApp chat, it's the one I'm going to request because it's where you can see the skimmers nesting. So,
Yeah.
sign me up for that room. But it looks like you're just kind of floating on the Kafue River from that room. Are all the rooms you feel like you're right up against the riverbank and kind of on a boat almost floating on the river?
Absolutely. Yeah. And especially in the early part of the season, often people ask about seasonality. We open here in May and the river will be right by, like right under the deck. And that's magic too, right? But then as the dry season progresses, yeah, that river, it's still very deep. You'll still see it right there. But there'll be a bit more going on in the trees. The birds will be hopping down, drinking water, and there might be the odd croc swimming down under there. So yeah, it's really nice to be right on the water, something that Musekese differs from by being on the
Yeah.
lagoon. Yeah.
Well, Vanessa, we got a couple of questions.
Yeah, so Nicole Russo is asking, how long does it take to fly from Livingston to the Kafue and then also the lower Zam to the Kafue?
Yeah, Livingston, Kafue, to Lofupa, to the airstrip near Musekese and Lwenge. It's about an hour and 15, hour and 20. It's a lovely flight, actually. You head straight due north and you come through the southern part of the Kafue. You reach Lake Iteshi Teshi in southern Kafue, which is this amazing, vast lake. And then you follow the Kafue River literally all the way up to landing at this camp. So yeah, an hour and 15, hour and 20. And then Kafue Lower Zam is quite long. It's a big country. That's about more like an hour and 40 or hour and 45. There'll be 10 minutes either side depending on winds and planes and stuff. But yeah, roughly roughly that. But certainly a lot better than driving. It's not viable to drive those ones. But yeah, flying, that's your timings there. Yeah.
Or having
Great.
to connect through Lusaka. I mean, that time saved just by flying direct from the Lower Zam into Kafue is
100%. Yeah.
more time on safari, right? Less time
More,
in at airports.
Yeah, exactly. And especially that Livingston route, that's a nice one. If you think about the whole rest of Zambia to combine the Vic Falls Livingston area, you always have to go through Lusaka, even for South Luangwa, Lower Zam. But for the Kafue to have the option without breaking the bank, without having to pay for a charter flight to fly into this airstrip here from Livingston or ending here and going down to Livingston for the falls um, is great without having to go through Lusaka. It makes for a nice kind of flowing itinerary. Um, yeah.
Perfect. And then Nicole was also wondering if you can walk between camps. So I think Lwenge and Musekese, which
Yeah, it's something I've been asked that a little bit. I mean, I don't think many people will be booking Musekese and Lwenge in combination because, they're not so far away from each other, right? Um, although I don't see why you wouldn't. And we do something similar in the Lower Zambezi. Kutali and Chula are not so much further away from each other as Muskesi and Lwenge, but that's not really what we see happening. But to answer the walking between area question, absolutely. Like even if it's just for the sake of doing it for the morning out of Lwenge, and walking to Musekese and we get picked up from the Musekese camp because it's our camps and it's our area. Yeah, of course. Like let's do that. But that's very much how we operate as a company, right? If you've got guests that want to do something a little bit different, as long as we know in advance, great. That's what we're there for. We're there for that experience and doing something a little bit different. I've showed you a lot about the camps because we need to see what they look like to show it to our guests, right? But yeah, absolutely doable to do longer walks or um, slightly non-typical activities for sure. Yeah.
okay, great. And then Brian is wondering, and I think you can just speak to the lodges in the Kafue here, the recommended length of stay per camp.
Yeah, and this is really not me being salesy because I would say this for our other camps that we have nothing to do with. Longer than you think. I think 3 nights is honestly an absolute minimum. 4 nights is ideal, especially in the Kafui where it is so wild. That is why you should be sending people there if they value that genuine wilderness. But because it is, it's not kind of pinned on game. We don't know where everything is at any hour of the day. It's all there, but that's why good guiding comes in and a good mindset. It might take you a day or two to find that leopard mother with the two cubs that we know are there. But it's very rewarding when you find them, but it means that just having that extra day without rushing, because it isn't pinned on game viewing, is more valuable in a place like Kafui. And remember the variety of activities, the ability to get on the water as well. And if you're only doing 2 or 3 nights, yeah, you're almost doing one of each activity and then nothing else, and you're leaving, and that's kind of a shame. So, yeah, I often say to people, look, if it means cutting out the whole Kafui and spending more time, because it's the same thing for the Lower Zamo Kafui as well, or Loangwa, sorry, then so be it. But rather do fewer camps for longer, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would do. We get quite a few people do longer than that as well, but they're typically repeat clients, right? Guests that come and they're like, "Yeah, I love this vibe. I love this style of safari." And we many of our repeat guests will do 5 or 6 nights, quite typically. Yeah, but three and fourth, if they've never been before, is good. It's fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks. That's super helpful. And then Melanie, who I'll be in Zambia with next month, is wondering, are there any hippos in the Lwenge River?
Yes, lots. The Kafue River, the Lwenge River, correctly. The Kafue River is a big river, bigger than people think it's going to be. It's deep. It's more clay-based, it's slightly darker. I'm saying that because it can sometimes have like the feel that there isn't as many hippos or crocs as there are in the Luangwa, where you can see them all because it's very shallow. But there's certainly lots. But yeah, it's a bigger river than people think it for, so they're slightly more spread out. But at night time at Lwenge, you'll be hearing hippos snorting for sure, but not quite to the same level you might in the Luangwa or the Lower Zambezi. But yeah, there's plenty of hippos all over. Yeah, yeah.
But to clarify, you're not doing canoeing on the Kafue River.
No canoeing on the Kafue River. No, no, yeah, nobody does that commercially. Something we've toyed with. We do actually have a couple of canoes, but if we were to canoe in this part of the Kafue, it would be on the lagoon at Musekese. And we would do that early season, April, May. But we can never really predict the water levels. So yeah, TBD, but there will never be commercial canoeing on the main river, I don't think. Yeah.
Great. And I think that's it for questions. Samantha just shared that she was in the Kamasot hide a few weeks ago and saw the sable. So sounds like a pretty great
Uh,
place to spend some time.
yeah, it is so cool in there. Even if you don't see much, it's just helps you unwind, you know. You remember your guests are on holiday as well, so it's quite a nice thing just to remind yourself where you are. Yeah.
And on the Kamasot Hide, a question
Mhm.
there is the water is pumped, so you have water there throughout the season.
That's right. It was built on a natural pan, which typically in a good rainy season it holds water anyway until kind of
Mm.
August, early September. But we do have a small pump which just kind of trickle feeds it in the drier months. Yeah, absolutely. Another reason it's quite productive. Um, yeah, that's how that works. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions. Thanks, Vanessa. And thank you, Tyrone, for taking us on this virtual tour. Good luck in the next 10 days, getting
Thank
everything ready
you.
for that first booking. I'm
Yeah.
excited to visit in October and see it uh, in person.
Yeah.
Um, Thanks everybody who attended for your questions, and look out for our next or our last two Coffee with Cusinis coming up in September with Birgit Mormon from Ultimate Earth. She's going to talk about the rebrand from Ultimate Safaris to Ultimate Earth, as well as some exciting new plans for that Ultimate has in Swakopmund in Namibia. And then in December, our friends from Haja and Ajaka from Assistant Travel are going to talk about a little, beach extensions to Madagascar, something that you could not always thought of outside of maybe Miavana for the very well heeled, but there's a lot of options to add on Madagascar to a Southern Africa itinerary, maybe in Zambia, and then heading over to Madagascar. So look out for that and register for that in December. All right. Have a great rest of your summer wherever you are. And thanks again for joining us. Thanks, Ty, for the presentation.